that we know little, or even sometimes maybe nothing, or we thought we know more about. This is where we'll be looking at the causes and how we can prevent. And you said more of prevention is very, very important to save us money, save us time, to save us even wealth. So, on this program today, what shall we be looking at? We shall be looking at an health condition that it is very, rampant, and it is something that when you pick 10 people, you find out that at least 6 or thereabouts people have this health condition. And is it preventable? Is it communicable? Is it something that, yes, as human being, everyone is prone to it, or there is something we can do to avert this from happening to us? And if we are a victim of this, or maybe if we have this health condition, how can we manage it, or how can we treat it? This is what we shall be looking at today on the program Radio Clinic. And what I'm talking about is hypertension. Hypertension sounds like, when you hear the word hypertension, it comes with a fear of, wow. Then we begin to look at the stages of this. What are the things that we can actually do to avert this from happening? Like I said, I'm not the other one in the studio. I have with me Dr. Olasukanmi Adesina. He is a general medical practitioner and a public health policy analyst. After obtaining his first degree in medicine and surgery from LAUTECH, Ogbomosho, he proceeded to the University of East London, UK, to obtain his postgraduate master degree in public health. He is current MDC of Academy Hospital in Iworod and Mokola Hilltop Hospital in Mokola, two of the fastest growing private hospitals in Ibadan or your state. Thank you very much for joining me on the show this morning.
You are welcome, Mr. Benga.
All right, doctor.
Yep.
Hypertension is a health condition that's when we hear it, the first thing that comes to people's mind is it is a health condition that is solely for the elderly. But I guess the narrative is changing now that we have younger people being hypertensive.
Yes, thank you. You are right. Hypertension, by definition, is when there is sustained increase in blood pressure more than 140/90. When you check your blood pressure, you normally have two figures. There is one figure up, then there's one figure down. So the figure that is up is known as systolic pressure. The one that is down is known as diastolic pressure. So when the systolic pressure is more than 140 or diastolic pressure is more than 90, then that is hypertension.
So does that mean that you have to get to a certain age before you start experiencing this?
Not really. There are two types of hypertension. We have essential hypertension, which is the common ones that we see in the elderly. And we also have secondary hypertension, which is seen in people below 40 years of age. So hypertension can even occur in children, in adolescents, and in young adults. It's not that common, but it can happen.
When you say essential hypertension,
yes,
essential in English means something that you must or that you should. Does that mean that all elderly people are prone or should be expecting hypertension?
All elderly people, everybody above 40 is prone to essential hypertension. Essential in this context is purely medical. It's not the usual word of essential that we use on day-to-day basis. But it's purely medical. When we say essential hypertension, it means that hypertension in elderly or adults above 40 years of age. Yep.
Now, the secondary,
yes,
that happens to younger generation,
Yes.
younger age, young adults. Now, for let's look at this essential hypertension first, the
Okay.
one that happens to an
I
elder.
heard, yes.
Now, is it a way that a pattern of living that causes that, or what?
Okay, so let's quickly run through uh, what we call the risk factors for hypertension. Uh, Risk factors are conditions that you have in your body that may subject you to development of hypertension, or what is in your body or the way you are living, your lifestyle that may subject you to hypertension. So number one is age. So anybody that is above 40 is prone to high blood pressure. Number two is gender. Hypertension is 3 times more common in male
Hmm.
compared to female. So number three is family history, or what we call genetics.
So does that mean
So
it is hereditary?
it is hereditary. It can be hereditary. And there are some other factors too that we call modifiable factors. The first three factors that I discussed with you, your age, your gender, and your family history, we call it non-modifiable factors. There is nothing you can do about your age. You must grow old. There's nothing you can do about your gender. And when you have someone with high blood pressure in your family, especially first degree relative, your dad, your mom, you are also prone to hypertension. So those are non-modifiable factors. But there are some factors that you can modify, that you can decide to modify. So one of them is smoking. Smoking is highly linked with high blood pressure. Uh, Another one is uh, overweight or obesity. When your weight is on the bigger side, you are prone to hypertension. Another one is lack of exercise. The people that don't engage in exercise from time to time, people with sedentary lifestyle, they sit down to watch TV for 3 hours, from the bedroom back to sitting room to eat, back to the bedroom. When they go out, they're always in their car. So
Now, sorry for cutting you.
Yep.
This exercise that you just talked about, and you
Yes.
said it has to do with their way of doing things,
yes, way of
manage
life.
their way of life. Now, is it the one that grew to metamorphose into hypertension, or it is at that adult age that exercise should be taken more seriously, or what the individual has done over the years?
Okay, yeah, irrespective of age, lack of exercise has a way to contribute to increase in weight, and whether below 40 or above 40, when there is when a person is overweight, the person is prone to high blood pressure. Yeah, so it's not a matter of age really. It's a matter of whatever that is present in the person's body. Like I said, and like you rightly said at the beginning of this program, that you are aware that young people are having
Yes,
high blood pressure now. Yes, because of the lifestyle that most young people live these days. If you have a young person in the house now, as long as the person is logged on to the internet, the person may not move from his spot. Yeah.
But
So-
on the contrary to the myth, because that is why one of the reasons for this program, because sometimes we believe myth more than the medically proven statements.
Yeah.
You know, there is this statement that when you are too hyperactive, or maybe you are agitated for something, and just you better don't kill yourself because of hypertension. But with what you're saying, for someone that is just calm, not doing anything, just
Okay.
feel relaxing, then that person also is prone to hypertension.
Okay, there's this general aphorism that too much of everything is bad.
Okay.
If you put things in your mind too much, or you are too active, it can also lead to issue. One of the modifiable factors that I was discussing the other time, stress is one of it. So the people that engage in too much stress, they are also prone to hypertension. It could be physical stress, it could be psychological stress. When you say psychological stress, is the one that you just described, that people that put things on their head too much,
Mm.
that put things on their mind too much. So there's a way, there's a link between psychological stress or tension with high blood pressure.
Now let's look at the secondary now.
Okay.
Issues of life,
Yes.
stress.
Yes.
Like this, there is a saying now that everyone is saying pressure tiwa.
Pressure
There's
to
pressure everywhere.
yeah.
Now, how can one manage this situation as a young adult that is going to give one a balanced way of living to avert high blood pressure?
Okay. You are talking from the angle of stress. Yeah. There are ways to manage stress in general. Uh, there are ways to manage stress in general. One of the ways to manage stress is number one, having adequate sleep, at least minimum of 8 hours sleep in a day. Let's say 7 to 8 hours in a day. That is the minimum.
Sleep in a day 7 to 8 hours at
yes, at the
stretch,
minimum.
or you can break it.
At stretch, at the minimum. Yeah, if you can have it more than that, fine. If you can observe a nap in the afternoon, that's fine. But in the night, make sure you have your 7 to 8 hours complete.
Hmm.
So those are one of the ways to minimize stress. Exercise is another way to minimize stress. Once you are under tension, you can go out for a walk for 30 to 40 minutes. Make it brisk, not too slow while walking. So those are the ways to um, um,
To avert
avoid stress.
avert
Then
stress.
another thing is that to accept these situations that you cannot change as they come. For example, a teacher that was posted from the city town like Ibadan to um, peripheral like Okeogun. You have all your family in Ibadan, then if you are not careful, that's a very stressful situation. They remove you from your family according to civil service rule. So you just have to accept your fate. There's nothing you could really do about it. Instead of knocking your head over the walls about what has happened in your workplace, what has happened in your school, what has happened in your family, just accept it as it is and move on with your life. Those are the ways to avoid the stress. Like I stated earlier, stress is also strongly linked with high blood pressure.
Now, it was in the news by researchers last year that 80 million Nigerians living with hypertension and 26.7 million receiving treatment. That's just a
Yes.
statistics. That
Yes.
now, with this statistics, it shows that people are not really going for.
Aware.
Is it now? Is it the awareness that is low, or people just feel like okay, it is something that is bound to happen?
I think the major problem is awareness. People don't know. Hypertension doesn't have any symptoms or signs that you will know to know that your blood pressure is high. Most people's high blood pressure is detected when they go to hospital for a different thing entirely. For example, somebody is sick and the person wants to get treatment for malaria or cough or catarrh. Routinely, blood pressure is checked in the hospital, and that's when it is detected that the person is having high blood pressure. That is importance of regular medical checkup. Everybody should have their BP check at least once in 6 months, because hypertension doesn't have any particular sign or symptoms that the person will have in his body to know that the blood pressure is high. Yes, some symptoms are associated with high blood pressure, like headache, like dizziness, like blurring of vision, But by and large, these symptoms are also symptoms of other conditions, including malaria. So it's difficult to link all these symptoms with high blood pressure. So the best way to know is regular checking of blood pressure.
I've seen someone that has this high blood pressure, and when I think she checked and she discovered that she has it, that she maybe she has been managing it, and the next thing is that I'll be fine. Let me just rest, without taking anything, without seeing a doctor. She just said that I'll be fine. Now, doing a checkup of high blood pressure of high blood is it high blood pressure now?
Yes.
That's checkup for in 6 months. Now, between 6 months, it looks like something that comes and go, like it increases and it decreases, it increases and it decreases, and it's not that there is a symptom. Maybe the person is going to be lame or dumb for that hour. Now, how can one be sure that the person is safe
Within that period.
within that period, or I just need to be checking it every morning?
No. Like I normally say, the mainstay of prevention is regular checkup. When you check your blood pressure, the doctor or whoever that is checking the blood pressure will let you know that if the BP is high or if the BP is low. If the BP is high, not all treatments for hypertension entail medication or drugs.
Okay.
We first start by telling the person to adjust his or her lifestyle. If the person is on the overweight side, you have to do weight reduction. If the person is not doing exercise, you have to engage the person. You have to let the person know the importance of exercise. You have to tell the person that must eat low salt diet. You must put minimum salt in your food. You tell the person to stop alcohol. Tell the person to stop smoking. You advise the person to sleep 8 hours in a day.
And if it is hereditary,
Yeah.
that the parent has it,
Yeah.
with all these precautions,
Yeah.
is it going to work?
It may work.
It may work.
It
okay.
may work, yes. The few ones that don't work, that's when we now place the person on drugs. We must have tried all these life factors modification first and see how it will work. Stop smoking, stop alcohol, have enough rest, low salt diet, reduce your weight, engage in exercise. By the time we tell the person to go and do those ones, then come back after a month or 6 weeks, we now see the effects of all these modifications or lifestyle. Then we know whether to put you on medications or not.
But if I discover that, at least for my own research, I do not have any family member that has hypertension, can I stick to my alcohol and stick to my smoking, since I know that, okay, we do not have this record in my family?
Okay, like I mentioned some things that it's not just a family history that prone you to high blood pressure. The mere fact that you are a man is even putting you on a higher risk compared to women. Then the mere fact that you are from black race, well, one of the risk factor is black. Hypertension is commoner in black among their Caucasian counterparts.
Does it
or
have
white.
anything to do with the skin color?
It doesn't have anything to do with skin color, but some things are common in some particular race. Hypertension is one of the things that are common in black. If we talk about cancer of the skin, for example, it's more common among the whites compared to black.
That
because
has
our
to do with
own-
the skin, but hypertension has to do with the blood flow, right?
Yes.
Now, what is the connection of that to the black race?
Okay,
Has it been
actually,
proven
the link cannot be explained, but we know that hypertension is common among black compared
hope
to
it is
white.
not unconnected to the way of life of the black.
It's possible. It's possible. Smoking, stress, lack of adequate rest, pollution, noise pollution here and there from generator. That one can actually lead to. So everything is interconnected.
I would like to tell you to hold your thoughts there because you
Yeah.
have to go on a commercial break. When
Okay.
we come back, we will look into the noise pollution because that is one of the major aspects that we are exploring. Let me say
Okay.
that in Nigeria. All right, you're still listening to Radio Clinic on Vintage 93.7 FM. The program is Radio Clinic. My name is Olagwemi Golabisi. I'll be right back.
Ibadan. Check us out on 93.7 FM. Vintage.
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 Vintage. Vintage.
Vintage.
We are 93.7 FM.
For your non-stop entertainment. Quality programming. Unbiased news reportage.
Hello, welcome to the news on Vintage 93.7 FM, and these are the top stories.
Stay connected with Vintage 93.7.
If I give you love, my head no
Utilize your potential. Understand the crimes and your initial.
All right, so welcome back. The program is Radio Clinic on Vintage 93.7 FM, and we've been engaging a doctor in the house this afternoon, looking at hypertension, the causes of hypertension, and how we can actually prevent this hypertension. But more importantly is to know the causes and the way of life so that we can correct the wrongs. And we've been speaking with Dr. Olasunkomi Adesina, a general medical practitioner and a public health policy analyst. Before we went on that commercial breaks, we were talking about the causes of this hypertension, why it is more prevalent in the black race. Now, you made mention of noise pollution.
Yes.
Now, noise pollution is one thing that I said before we went on that break that is one of the things that we explore in this part of the world, and we have it from vehicles, we have it from generating set, we have it from a generator set, we have it from crowd, we have from churches, mosques, and the likes. Now, it as if for now, it is what we are going to live by. For now, it as much as work is being done to reduce it in some places, and to work is still being done on it. But since we know that all these things are there, alcohol is one of the way of showing affluence. When I go out, I want to hang out with friends, I take liquor and the likes. Other things, smoking is there also, and some people have been wired to put things on their mind. They are just like that. They can't just let stuff go. Now, having all these things put together, is it possible to get rid of hypertension?
Yeah, it's possible, but you cannot do it alone. The government has to do more in so many aspects. For example, control of noise pollution may not actually be possible from your own end, because, for example, generating sets from your neighbors, even if you decide to be using soundproof generator, if your neighbor is not using soundproof generator, you really don't have control over what your neighbor is using. Then citing nightclubs in residential areas, that's strictly in the purview of government control. It's something that you cannot do anything about except to complain to government that there are some places that we should not have nightclubs. Nightclubs should not be close to residential areas to reduce the noise pollution about the people. Same thing with regulation of churches and mosques too. Those ones are in government under government purview, not what individual can do anything about. However, to if you know that you can, you need to take charge of your health. Some people change locations of where they live
Because of their health, which
because
is very
of their
important.
health issues.
Mm.
I've met someone before that built his own house, but the house is very close to where they were burning refuse
Okay.
in Lagos. The man has to relocate from that house because of he has asthma problem.
Mm.
So he has to get another house somewhere else. In fact, he has to rent another house somewhere else and rent his own house outside because he has to take charge of his health. So health is paramount. It's your number one consideration. It's your most prized asset or possession. So when the health is gone, there's nothing else that is remaining again.
All right, you can be part of this conversation by calling these numbers: 0909 999 7937, 0909 999 7937, or 0704 7937, 0704 7937. These are the numbers to call to ask your questions. And the topic we are looking at this afternoon is hypertension. 0909 999 7937 or 0704 7937. Doctor, food is something that it is very important.
Yes.
And patients that have been diagnosed of hypertension seem to have restriction of certain food and maybe quantity sometimes, drink sometimes. What are the foods that are common in this area?
In this area, okay. For high blood pressure patients, what we normally advocate is low salt diet. The amount of salt in their meal should be minimal. Should be minimal. Some people did the research some times ago and they came up with something that if someone is born and the person does not take salt from the day he is born to the day he dies, there is no way the person will have high blood pressure. That's just to tell you that there is a very strong link between salt intake and high blood pressure.
Because why I ask that question is that most times all this thing comes when the person have been diagnosed of hypertension. That is when they said, don't take this, don't take this. What are the things that one needs to be cautious of even before being diagnosed of that
blood pressure.
related to food?
Okay, it's just salt. We normally say that even for people that don't have hypertension, the amount of salt in your meal should be minimal. Should be minimal if you can actually work on that. You should not take too much salt. Some people have the habit of adding extra salt to
their meal
to
while
their meal.
eating. Just they
In
feel
fact,
like
if
okay,
you
it's
go
not.
to some eateries,
It's
they'll
on the
put-
table, yes.
Yes, they put a cup of salt on the table for people that want to add more salt to whatever. So that's a very, very habit. That's a habit that contributes to high blood pressure. That's
it
one
bad?
habit. It is very, very bad. So whatever salt that's inside the meal is okay.
But we test some food. To be serious, doctor, now
Yeah.
you test some food and you feel like, who cooked this food? Is it that there is no salt at all, or what?
Oh, okay.
So at that point, can't I just add little salt, just table salt?
No,
or,
salt is just
since
a
the food is still hot.
Yeah, salt is just a seasoning, not that it's adding anything to the nutritional value of that food. It's just a seasoning. It's to satisfy your taste. It has nothing to do with the nutrition or what the food will do in your body. So if you can manage it once in a while like that, why not? Why not? So salt reduction. If the person eventually develops high blood pressure, the restriction will be very, very much. The salt restriction will be very much. In fact, if we cannot control blood pressure, in some cases, we tell the relatives or the person that has high blood pressure that, see, you have to separate daddy's pot. His own food. Don't put salt again. Is that terrible? that you have to separate his own pot from the family pot. So if you want to cook for him, don't add any salt to his own food. So if we are not getting good control, we look into that salt aspect too. That we need to reduce salt. So in treatment of hypertension, all those lifestyle modifications that I mentioned, low salt diet, exercise, adequate sleep, no stress, they will go together with medications. Drugs alone cannot do the job. The person has to modify his or her lifestyle to no smoking, no alcohol, low salt diet, adequate sleep, adequate exercise.
As a medical doctor, I know where we were still in school, when they talk about medical doctors, they talk about they read a lot.
Yeah.
And the general statement of Oman Biuru, meaning they don't usually sleep overnight, that they read overnight. And I'm not saying this to spite other professionals, but I'm just using you as an example since that's your field. And you said one must have 8 hours sleep, 7 hours
7
sleep,
to 8 hours.
7 to 8 hours sleep. To some people, when you tell them, they will ask you, where will I get that from? Because let's look at lifestyle. When they come in very late, they have to wake up very early, run to work, and they will tell you that I'm a thinker. I have to think. I have to, in fact, get some good books, word to back it up.
Okay, it's all about how one wants to plan his life, and shedding some habits and discipline. For example, one of the things that causes insomnia, lack of sleep these days, is mobile phone. Going to bed with your mobile phone. If you are on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram, you can be checking. If you are checking status alone, you are not even doing any other thing. You are not reading anything on your phone. You just checking status on WhatsApp. You can spend the next 2 hours doing that. And you retire to your bed by 9 o'clock or maybe 10 o'clock. Then you now check phone for the next 2 hours. How are you going to sleep to have adequate sleep? Because you have to wake up by 6 or 5:30. So we need to plan some habits. Okay, when you are on bed, you don't use your phone. Your bedroom. We don't encourage you having a television in the bedroom. Bedroom should serve for just 2 purposes: sleep and sexual intercourse. Any other thing is not allowed. You cannot turn your bedroom to library. You don't want to start reading your bedroom. So you don't want to start watching TV in your bedroom. We don't encourage having the television inside the bedroom. But those are the things that interfere with your sleep. And those are things that prevent you from having adequate sleep. It's about discipline and having to take control, take charge of your living. So it may be difficult, but you can do it. Just know that when you get to bed, you want to sleep, you off your data. It's only calls that can come in on your phone, and it's only few people that will be calling you by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And you want to switch off your TV. You don't want to watch, start watching TV on your phone or surfing internet on your phone after 10. So we need to take charge of our lives and ensure we discipline ourselves to the extent that we sleep adequately. Even if you are a serious student, like medical student, life is all about planning. You have the rest 18 hours or 16 hours to do whatever you like. So if life is well planned, I don't see a reason why you should spend extra hours. But like students, the reason why we normally spend extra hours, the volume of work is much, but it can
24
still
hours is not enough.
It's enough. It's actually more than enough. But by the time you neglect your books for the first 1 month, you need to spend extra hours to catch up. So if students read every time.
They won't
From
have.
the first day of the semester, you are dedicating 3 to 4 hours reading per day. I'm very sure that you won't have a need to spend the extra hours in the night when it's towards your exam.
All right, the phone lines are opened, and I still have Doctor in the house, Dr. Olasukomi Adeshino. We've been talking about hypertension, the causes, and he has made us to understand that there is essential hypertension and secondary hypertension, and of course the myth that it is only an adult that is prone to hypertension. No? You've heard from doctor this evening that said that it is prone to everybody, both young and adults. And of course, now doctor made me to understand that even men are prone to having hypertension more than women. But if you have asked me, I would have said women should be more prone to this, but of course medically proven. And that is why this program has been set up for us to know the medical view and medical verdict on these issues that we have wrongly believed. Phone lines 0909 999 7937, 0909 999 7937, or 0704 7093. These are the numbers to call to ask your question this evening. I wanted to ask about someone that has checked the history of the family. His grandfather has it, his grandmother has it, his father has it, his mother has it. For this person, shouldn't the person feel like either I take care of all these things, I sleep 8 hours, I quit, in fact, the person is not smoking, he's not drinking, he's trying to manage his life, but still believes that it has become a life history, a family history. And this person too should be expecting or not.
Okay, yeah. Since there is a strong family tie with hypertension, and the person doesn't have to expect it. If it will happen, it's whether you expect it or you don't expect it. If you look at all these things I even said about sleeping 8 hours in a day, adequate exercise,
Yes.
no smoking, those are the things that we should, whether we have high blood pressure
Or not.
those are normal lifestyle that I just display. If you are living the way you're supposed to be living, you have done your own part. The ones that you cannot change: family history, your gender, your color, your skin color. Those are the ones that you cannot change. Your age. So just leave the rest to nature. That you have done your own part. Then whatever that can happen after that time, it's not your fault again.
Is high blood pressure curable?
It cannot be cured, but it can be managed. It cannot
It
be.
cannot be cured.
Yes, it is not curable actually, but it can manage.
Now, that's okay. Now, you said the high blood pressure, blood pressure should be between 120, 80,
Should not be more
Should
than
not be more than
140, 90.
140, 90.
Yes.
Now, when we now have 180 to, when we have like 140, 120 is normal.
It's high.
180,
The
120
figure
is high.
that is up, that 140 should not be more than 140.
Okay,
The figure that is below should not be more than 90.
okay,
So when you have 180, 120, the one up is high, the one low is also high. It's also more than 90.
okay.
So
So that person has high blood pressure. already.
Yes.
Now, at what point? Is it just once? When once blood pressure hits that number, that it can never go back. That person has been diagnosed of high blood pressure, then you should start managing it.
Okay, that's a very fine question. If you consider the definition I presented at the beginning of this program, say high blood pressure is sustained elevation of blood pressure above 140/90.
Okay.
The key word here is
Sustained.
sustained. So it's not a one-off stuff.
Okay.
Once in a while, blood pressure can go up maybe after some things, tension,
Yeah.
stress, accident, all those things. It will just go up at once, but it is not sustained. So when we say high blood pressure, hypertension, it has to be sustained, that you have taken the reading more than one time and the blood pressure remains elevated. That's when the person missed the cutoff for high blood pressure. It has to be sustained.
Sustained for how many days?
So in hospital, what we do is once the blood pressure is high, so we give advice. At times we give sleeping pills. We tell the person to go and rest, then come back to check your blood pressure after a week.
Okay.
Then in the person that doesn't have symptoms, but if the person is already having symptoms like headache, so one reading is enough to make the diagnosis. But for people that don't have symptoms, like they are not having headache, they are not having blurry of vision, they are not having weakness, they are not having easy tiredness, then we just come back after a week, let's check the blood pressure again. So go and rest, go and have adequate sleep, reduce your stress, then come back after 1 week. Then after a week we check the blood pressure. If it is high again, then we make the diagnosis that this person is having high blood pressure. So it's not just one reading that we use to make the diagnosis. If the person is not having other things in
So
the body,
after that 1 week,
yes, we
then
check the blood pressure again,
and it's high.
then we know that
then
the
you know
person is
that the
having
person-
hypertension.
So any other drug the person uses and it comes down, does that mean
we
it's
don't
not
even go to drugs even at that point,
okay?
except it's very very high.
Aye.
We don't even go to drugs. We go on lifestyle modification at that time.
Okay.
Okay, salt reduction, exercise, adequate sleep.
But that person must know that he has hypertension.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you tell the person to come back after 4 weeks and you check the readings again, that you have been doing weight reduction, you have been having adequate sleep, you have been having you have stopped smoking, you have stopped alcohol, and you are having adequate sleep, then you are doing exercise from time to time, low salt diet. Then after a month come back, let us check the effects of all these things that you've been doing. So if the condition remains the same and the patient follows the instruction deliberately, religiously, then we say, okay, it's time to start you on medications now. That it seems all this one alone cannot work. Medications alone cannot work too. Medication has to go with all this lifestyle modification. Stop smoking, stop alcohol. No matter the kind of medication or the amount that is being used, if the lifestyle modification reduce your weight, have adequate sleep, low salt diet, stop smoking, stop alcohol, if all those things are not done, even if the person is on the most expensive drugs, it will not work. So lifestyle medication has to go with lifestyle medication.
The scare of the would I say the secondary, now I'm not using the terminologies of the doctor now, but the end result of hypertension. We've seen cardiac arrest,
Yes.
we've seen stroke,
Yes.
we've seen
Heart attack.
heart attack.
Yeah.
Now, at what point does it get to that stage?
So once the BP is not controlled over a period of time, nobody can actually decide the period of time that it will happen. That's why we have to make sure that we keep the blood pressure low as much as we can. In some cases, stroke will be the first sign or pointer that this person has been having high blood pressure. For people that don't do medical checkup from time to time, they will just have stroke from sleep one day, or even die from sleep without the person even knowing that the blood pressure has been high over. The first symptom in some occasions can be death,
Wow.
that the person will just die, and that's if autopsy is done, that's when it will now be discovered that the person has been having high blood pressure. That's why it is important to check your blood pressure at least every 6 months. So because it doesn't give any warning, that's why hypertension is called a silent killer. That it doesn't give any warning. It will just attack the person and lead to stroke, lead to heart attack, lead to kidney failure suddenly. The kidney will just pack up, lead to blindness. The eyes will just pack up suddenly without giving any prior warning. So the only thing to do to prevent all this is regular checking of blood pressure every 6 months at least.
For some people who maybe their profession, of course, is not advisable, but maybe because of their schedule, they don't know where they will be in the next 6 months. For
Yeah.
instance, if someone is a station person that has to
Yeah.
travel from one place to
Yeah.
the other. Now, is it possible to have the reader, the high blood pressure monitoring reader or something that one can easily check?
Check on your
On
home.
your
Okay.
home.
There are so many home kits appliances, homemade high blood pressure machine in quotes that you can use on your, not complex at all. It will even
Okay.
come with an instruction that if your BP is more than this figure or this figure, just contact your doctor. It
doctor.
will even tell you that this blood pressure is high or this blood pressure is normal. Once you read it, the machine will tell you that your blood pressure is normal or your blood pressure is elevated and you should see your doctor. I would advise if most all homes should have it.
Mm.
All home where people are above 40 live, then you should have that home blood pressure kit. Home blood pressure measurement kit here.
For a baby to a teenager,
Yeah.
can one start planning the lifestyle because of the family history?
Exactly. That is the best thing. So the person will not get to a point of having to battle with hypertension when it comes. So the diet must be tailored. We must talk to them about dangers of smoking, especially when they have a family history of hypertension. So the teenagers can know that okay, you have this family history, and because you are a man, because you are from black race, there is a tendency for you to have high blood pressure in the future. So in order to minimize the risk, or you cannot eliminate the risk, but you can minimize it. In order to minimize, you have to start modifying your lifestyle. You can start teaching them or encouraging them to do exercise, encourage them to have adequate sleep, encourage them to have low salt, discourage them from smoking, discourage them from taking alcohol before it gets to the point of addiction, which is also a problem on its own, apart from everything that will come with it, like high blood pressure.
Is hypertension different from high blood pressure?
It's the same thing with high blood pressure.
Now, is it something that needs to be declared publicly? For instance, if I have, and I'm meeting you, or I have to be on a group, do I have to tell people that, okay, I'm hypertensive? Maybe there is caution for other people that can help me to live good.
Okay. Health, generally speaking, is personal.
Okay.
You don't have to make it public that if I'm having high blood pressure, tell people. However, most employers subject their employees to medical
test.
checkup from time to time. So it's not for the purpose of removing the employee, but it's for the purpose of modification of the kind of work. Know that this is not the person that will be working late into the night in the studio. For example, anybody that is prone to high blood pressure or that is nursing high blood pressure, there are some ways to modify to help the person in lifestyle modification.
All right, thank you very much. I've been speaking
You're
with Dr. Olasunkanmi Adesina, is a general medical practitioner and a public health policy analyst. We've been discussing hypertension extensively, and the doctor has made us know that everyone needs to be careful. Everyone needs to live a healthy life so we can avert this silent killer, as it has been said it is. And of course, healthy living, good food, normal intake of salt. So I want my food to be tasty, and you begin to add table salt without cooking and likes, and needs to be checked. And of course, we have the sportsman in their house. By extension, doctor also said that exercise is a good thing to prevent hypertension. Thank you, doctor, for having you on the show this evening, and we hope when next we invite you, you surely grant our request. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is Vintage FM 93.7 FM, and we've been talking on the program Radio Clinic. Next week is another day when we'll be looking at another health issues, and I would say, please, let's live a healthy life. My name is Oluwagbemiga Olabisi. Please enjoy the rest of the evening.